here to talk about this exciting new album, Franckensteina Strataemontanus, which I've had the privilege to listen before everybody else during this listening session in Paris. That was a great time.
That was cool. Yeah, definitely. It was a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm. And I just got so I had to wait until Friday to get the album to prepare this interview, and but so during all this time I was looking forward to finally receiving it, and when I got it on Friday, I've been literally listening to it on repeat from Friday to a few minutes. I was still listening to it like 15 minutes before we started this call, so. I'm completely in the mood right now, and I have to say this is definitely one of your strongest releases, and there's a lot of very cool stuff, and I'm very completely in this universe right now. So very exciting album to talk about.
That's a good sign. I mean, you could have put it down on Friday already.
I'm really into it, and I mean I can't wait for people to get their hands on it as well, because this is really a very strong record with all songs are hits, and very there's absolutely no filler on this record. It's all powerful songs, and there's a lot of very cool new stuff as well, which we'll talk about. But before we do that, if you like, I'd like to go back to what happened in these 2 months since 3 months since we last spoke, because there's been some quite important events. The first one being your brother Namtar leaving the band, and the second one being the last show that you performed with him. This was in France, in northern France, in Denain. So I'd like to talk quickly about those two topics before we go on the album, if you like.
Of course, yes, yeah.
Okay. So Namtar announced that he was leaving the band in February, and obviously this was a big shock for everybody because we didn't see it coming at all. But in his statement, he said that he had been thinking about leaving the band for some time already. So my question is, as his brother, how long have you known that he wanted to step out of the band?
Well, looking back, I could see that he was not happy for a longer time already. I saw like the commitment was, deteriorating and stuff like that. But I never realized it until November, after the recording actually. We got offers to play, for example, on the cruise ship. He said like, I don't want to go there. Why should we go back there? And I was like, I found it a little bit strange. And I felt like maybe it's time to sit down with everyone. So we sat down and we said like, what's the deal? We want to do it, but you're the only one not wanting to do it. And that's when he came forward like, guys, here it is, I'm out. And we were surprised completely. And this was November. It was in the middle of the whole thing, so I was like okay. So we had a couple of conversations where we also tried to understand where he was coming from, and we also told him like, why don't you take a break for example half a year or even a year, just take a break and come back. And because I said this is something about 17 years in the building, and I said even if I was in your situation, I would hope that you guys would tell me, go out and take a break and and come back and we'll fix it. So we offered that, but he said no, I'm sure I want out. He also said that he didn't like drumming anymore. He said I cannot even sit behind the drum kit, it makes me feel bad. And so we said okay, know that this is the offer, because I mean we were devastated, to be honest. Dennis and I were talking like every day, like what are we going to do? Because we were so excited also about the album. We were like, this is amazing. But yeah, he was very resolute in his decision. We respected that. I mean, that's what we had to do. So I immediately, I was in Costa Rica at the time. I had to find a drummer for the boat because I wanted to do the boat. Also, for us as a band to have something to look forward to. And I said like, okay, so I like 5 or 6 drummers I had contact with, and in the end, Michiel was luckily able to do it, and he did it and nailed it. Yeah. Meanwhile, I asked him to just wait a little bit with going out with this, and I also said like maybe something will change. You know, I said maybe in January, you know, when he knows that we played the boat, maybe something has changed. So we sat down again, and nothing had really changed in that sense. So, and that's when we started to make definite plans. Like, okay, then we move on, and Dennis and I said, okay, we keep the band with the both of us, and we're gonna have live musicians, session musicians to add on. So yeah, it's very sad, but yeah, we have to respect it. And looking back, I think it's better if you don't want to do it anymore. There's no way to, you know, maneuver into it. Yeah.
Yeah, well, thanks a lot for all these explanations, because yeah, everybody was in shock, and I didn't realize that you guys were as well.
Oh yeah, we were completely shocked because this is something we've been doing for almost 20 years.
Yeah.
And you know, I said, yeah, we were totally in shock, and like I said, like we offered to just take a break for a year, and we would do a live, have a live drummer, and then, you know, come back and get your mind clear, what you want, and oh, is there something else we have to change? And but yeah, he had his mind fixed, and yeah, I know my brother when he makes up his mind. He makes up
of course, yeah.
I already knew, like, yeah, you can talk until, and there's also no way to talk someone into a direction, because that won't stick. It will stick one day, and then, you know, what's the use? So yeah, yeah. But and it was also hard to not tell anyone, because it was really a bad time, because I had a lot of I also had commitments with the record label, of course, and everyone was like increasingly pushing and really investing in this record. It was like with our management, we had this big plan, and like never before with an album, and there was a lot of money involved into the new production, because we had to work. I wanted to work with this LA producer that I really admired. So everyone was like pushing and investing beyond what is, you know, imaginable. And then to have one of the core members say in the middle of the recordings, like, bye bye.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, everyone's gonna freak out. They're gonna think that something is wrong. So I was really like, please keep it quiet for now. We have to make a plan. So luckily he did that, and we worked that out. I'm grateful for that. But it was a heavy time. It was not easy. So yeah.
Yeah, I suppose so.
Yeah.
But did you guys share a little bit of his frustrations about, because he said in his statement that part of him leaving was his frustration towards the touring business, and the fact that you guys were not always able to bring your own full production on stage?
Yeah, I mean, we have always been very ambitious on every level, also the stage, and he has been the biggest workforce, especially in, you know, building this stuff, and he has done a great job. But what happens is, like, we are, you know, relatively still in that kind of sense. We are not like Rammstein or Motley Crue, so we have to fight our way in. So what we did is, like, with a lot of festivals, we tried to bring this stuff, and we had a lot of resistance. I mean, I have people screaming at me, and there was once also I prepared a show for months, and in the end, everything that I prepared was just cancelled by other people. So I know there are frustrations, but the way the problem is, like, okay, then maybe I'm angry for a couple of days, but in the end, I always go back to the bigger picture, and that's most important for me. And the bigger picture is that when you have a fight and when you have resistance, that's a symptom for me of growth. And it means you're expanding, and this is not easy because, for example, festivals, they want bands to change in 20 minutes and do quickly, and then when you have the Rammstein show, they freak out and they become nasty.
This resistance to you bringing your own full production mainly came from logistic reason and a lot of these festivals that want to switch bands quickly. And also when you're touring, although you're the headliner, because you were the headliner in your last European tour, although you do that, you play with other bands, and the time slots are very tight. You have very tight schedule, and
well, it was also like this. We wanted to bring it, but at the same time, this tour was going to be in smaller venues, and we would love to play 1,000 cap venues every day, but we also had to be realistically and look at what our fan base is right now, and it's growing every year. So we were seeing like, okay, if we bring everything, we can probably only use it 5 or 6 times, and it's really big stuff to bring. And so in the end, I think we had a different view, because I early on saw already like this is going to be crazy, and it's going to be impossible. And if we bring it, it's going to be impossible too, because we don't have the facilities and the people, the crew to do all this. So I very early on saw like this is not going to work, and I think he still had the high hope that we're going to do it, and so he was very disappointed in that, which I understand. I mean, it sucks, but sometimes I was still seeing the vision like maybe next time, And I personally, with management, for example, made it possible that we could do it on Hellfest. I had to look logistically plan it, and it worked out, and it cost money and all of that, but that's the deal. And I was very proud that we did the tour and that we were able to do the smaller shows, like in Paris was small, and then at the same time do the big stuff at Hellfest. So I also talked to him. I said, like, look, the way I see it is that it's a win, because people have seen this stuff, they know that we're capable of it, so there's nothing's lost. But he is a different person, which is totally respectable, and he sort of cannot easily let go of the frustrations, and maybe I do too easy, maybe too, I don't know, but it's a different personality. So in the end, you cannot really convince one way or the other, like.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that's
Okay, and now that Namtar is no longer in the band, you guys are a duo. How will your work process? I mean, how has your working process changed now that you're no longer free?
Yeah. Well, it's strange, of course, because we always use. I mean, on the creative side and all of that planning, we were usually. I was more with the production side with my brother, and to be honest, like over the year, he has already slowly, in retrospect, like stepping back from that. And luckily, we have a big team. Like, for example, right now, the record label is super active, and there are a couple of people that are really working hard on like day-to-day contact. So. And me and Dennis are usually in the creative side. So like with the listening sessions, that stuff that usually was already the two of us more pooling. And also the writing of the album, I have done more together with him already. Like Dennis and I had sessions together and working on it, and then Ivo Namtar would. Play the drums in his own time. So we have it like, I think it's like, it has been a very slow and also almost like it's weird to say that, like natural evolvement towards the situation now. And but it's changed because now we suddenly have to have a new drummer for live, and so it's a completely different situation, which is, we have to see how it all will be. Yeah.
Okay. Well, so now Michiel is the new drummer. he already replaced Namtar on this famous boat show, the 70,000 tons of metal.
Yeah.
So he knew the set list already.
Yeah.
And did you guys started rehearsing the new material with him?
No, not yet. It's because of the COVID stuff. Because we had one show in May and it's cancelled, and right now it's just I think we would be able to rehearse, but at the same time it feels a bit weird because
there's no I mean, the situation is very uncertain.
Yeah, and there's no show, and also the government is still advising to do as little as possible with regards to movement. So right now it's just all off. But I mean, he did a great job on the boat. We only had one rehearsal with him.
All right. Okay.
Really, we had a couple of weeks only to practice everything. But meanwhile, I have been sending him all the older songs because he's a drum fanatic. He plays like clockwork. He's like mailing me, send me more songs. I want to play them all.
Okay.
So he's great, and he's fanatic about drums. So he, the way he plays, it's like it's flawless. Yeah, that's really cool and a privilege to work with him. And he likes the music. He said like to me, I was listening to all this stuff, and my world is like expanding. He said so, and that really gave me energy too. And we listened to the new album together here in March, February, I think. Mm-hmm. Stuff like so. He's very excited.
Okay, that's cool. That's cool to know. It's very cool to know. Great. So in March, the beginning of March, you played your last show with Namtar. It was in northern France, in a beautiful venue, in a theater venue in Denain. That was a great time. I had the chance to be there, and and you guys were great. I mean, I had a lot of fun and an absolutely great time. You guys were talking with you guys, having beers and stuff. It was a blast. Definitely one of my best concert memories. So thank you guys for this great experience. How did it feel to play your last show with Namtar this night?
Well, it was basically like any other show, so it was a strange kind of thing. I was happy that he was able to do it because technically he was already out back then, but Michiel was on tour with God Dethroned, so he really couldn't do it. And I wanted to do the show, so I asked him carefully, are you up for one more? Okay. And he said, one more, I can do that, and because it's not a lot of travel. And so I was really happy with that. But at the same time, I said to him, do you want to announce that this is the last show? And he said, no, absolutely not. You wanted to keep it under the radar. So that's also how we approached it, which was kind of strange because in one way, it's not nothing, but I gave him something from the band as a goodbye official. There was something, but it was very modest and small. Because I feel like you have to somehow mark this event. You cannot say okay, that was it, bye. So
yeah, sure.
So I think that was the way he wanted it, to sneak out. I'm grateful that we were able to do it like this, and and it was a great show. So yeah.
Yeah, that was definitely a great show, and I like to pay a tribute to the people who organized it. It was called the In Theatrum Demonium Fest, and I believe this was the second or third year. I don't remember exactly, but I sincerely hope that they will be able to keep this ongoing because I felt very welcome. The staff was amazing, always caring for the people, for the artists. For everybody, I hope next year, if they do that, and I hope they do, I'll be able to go back and do a footage, a little subject on that. So thanks Thank you
That's
guys.
great. Yeah.
And I hope you guys will be back too as well.
Yeah, hopefully. Point that.
Okay, let's talk about the album right now. Okay,
Yeah.
Franckensteina Strataemontanus. So this album is, as I said before, I'm really excited about it. I've been listening to it for 3 days non-stop, and what I noticed is that there are some very nice innovations from what you guys have been doing while still being a Carach album, no doubt about it. And what I noticed when listening to it with headphones, so what I didn't notice that when I first listened to it in the venue that you guys did the listening stations in, but with the headphones on, it became evident. But the bass is very loud on this record, man. It's incredible. I mean, the bass frequencies are really pushed up high in the mix, and that's the first thing I noticed when listening to Scorch Ghoul Undead. The bass is really strong, and there's even a bass intro on the Necromancer. So that's something that you guys haven't done in the past, and the bass wasn't to my recall. This wasn't this high on the mix. So can you tell us about it?
Well, yeah. The funny thing is, like, I always read the comments about the bass in the band, but usually, I mean, I program the bass and I have it played by Patrick, but I've always paid a lot of attention to the bass parts because it's basically the foundation, and sometimes the orchestra or the synthesizers carry it. But bass has always been important. But what is actually funny is I found this producer, Robert Carranza, because of the way he did bass on Marilyn Manson's record and the clarity in the mix. I was like, who is this guy? And I found him, and he wanted to do this record. And he has done it in a cinematic quality, and especially the low end is so clear and so deep. And I like it, and I think it's also different from other metal albums because I got a little bit bored with productions lately of metal records because it starts to sound the same, all of it a little bit. So I'm really glad that we do something different, and basically we let him do the mix and we just gave pointers. But I know he's a fan of a strong foundation, so I think he really pushed the bass forward. On some songs I had him add extra distortion on the bass, like in Operation Compass. Mm-hmm. I said I want the bass to be like a rattling tank.
Yeah, and, that reminded me of Doom. That's very industrial. This very industrial, aggressive sound.
Yeah, and so what he is doing, what he did very well, he gave every instrument its own place. So you have the very strong bass, the guitars, and then the orchestra is everywhere, and then the vocals are really clear. So we are really happy with the mix, and it's a different mix because it's not like everyone else, and I like that, and I think it fits the album perfectly.
I mean, you really shine through when you listen to it with good speakers and good headphones. The mix is really, and you have to because the mix is really different from the previous albums, and it has this clarity that you talk about, like the frequencies really are distinguishable, and you can hear everything, and as you said, it's original because usually in black metal it's all high frequencies or medium high frequencies, and usually there's not many bass on black metal, but here it feels more colorful and more full. This guy's done a richer sound on this one thanks to this bass being put up in the mix.
Yeah.
So very nice touch. And the second thing we noticed also is that you are singing on this one. You say especially on Soon for Solitude.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So this is something new for people that are not familiar with your solo work, because you already sung on your solo albums, especially the last one, Parasite Twin.
Yeah.
But here you finally sing on the Carach album.
Yeah.
So what was your experience doing that? Did you feel you were finally ready to do so?
Yeah, I was working on all of it together. Like last year around this time, I was working on the Parasite Twin, but I was working on Soon for Solitude and on the whole album. So there was like a complete mix. Actually, the song Franckensteina, originally I had planned for the solo release, but I thought this is really a good song. Yeah. So I sent it to Dennis, and he said, "No, that's too industrial, but I'll try something." And then he came up with the chorus and the vocals, and he sent it back. It's amazing. He said, "Yeah, this is the best one." So that's how it worked. And so for Soon for Solitude was a very personal song for me because I was reading the novel about Frankenstein. I was trying to get that emotion across of the monster having to hide from humanity and still longing for contact. And for some reason, I was composing the song and working on that chorus, like with the horn, and then let's try to sing something. I had this idea, like sing. I thought, like, whatever, and then I was writing some lyrics and singing, and it sounded really cool. And for some reason, later we tried to make it a bit different, but in the end, I went even back to the demo recordings of these vocals. I redid them and it sounded worse. So even I remember in the end I sent to the producer, said like, take the demo recording. So yeah, we thought like it sounded cool, and that's how it ended up, and I like it. And and on other songs like Franckensteina, Strataemontanus, Dennis and I sang both, like we make choirs. So it really took a lot of freedom, this album, to do all this crazy stuff, and that helped a lot, in getting to new sounds and stuff.
Yeah, the title track Franckensteina is one of my favorites as well. I mean, I found myself saying this, repeating the chorus as a mantra, So I'm at home and I'm like Franckensteina Strataemontanus. It's brilliant. I really feel this incantation, The title of the album is really brilliant because it's when you first read it, you're like, oh my god, what Frankenstein? It's difficult to read, but once you've heard it in the song, you can't get it out of your head. I mean, it's like something. It makes you want to open the windows and shout it out loud. I mean, it's really brilliant.
Thank you.
I really loved it, and there's some brilliant writing in the lyrics, especially the song we talked about, Soon for Solitude, about this the sadness of the monster, and he's angry against his master who created him, and this is very cleverly done, because usually a monster is always shown from the horrible side, and exactly. But here is more humanized, and is actually more of a human than the doctor himself, who just didn't care at all about his creatures feeling.
And that's something that really stuck out when I was reading the novel. And the novel is really clever, and it's also in like an older English language. So there are a lot of words, like one of the words like alas, I think I put it in the lyrics. And I really felt like something special with this book, and something that is like sometimes lacking in our era when you read or when you see movies. And I thought, like, if I somehow can put that into music or words into the song, make the transition, then I worked a lot on those lyrics. I changed them around a couple of times, and but I'm really happy with the end result as well. So that's cool to hear that it comes across like that as well. It's
very. I mean, as usual with every Carach record, you've got to have the lyrics in front of you when you listen to the music, because it's there's so much care and work put into them that it's like doubling your experience when you do that. And so I wanted to give you guys this big thumbs up for the work you did on the lyrics on this one, because it's I mean I've been reading them like this is it's already it gives you already the feeling of the story. So congrats, guys!
Cool, thank you.
It was great, absolutely great. And I also very liked the symphonic outro from Like a Conscious Parasite I Roam. This is a beautiful outro. Usually you do that at the end of the albums, but this one, I think it's one of your best. I immediately thought about La Malédiction de la Dame Blanche, which is my favorite, one of my favorite tracks of all your catalog, and one of my favorite outros. But this one is, I mean, it's the same level. It's beautiful and sad at the same time. It's contemplative. So yeah, it's a really, really great outro.
Yeah, and again, Nikos Mavridis on the violin. That's really making the difference as well. And on Soon for Solitude too, like, I knew immediately I need his violin playing. I'm actually working on a project right now together with Patrick Damiani and also with Nikos. So it's like the same thing is continuing in all kinds of forms, and there was really a connection there because I know how he's playing and how he can bring soul to the melodies that come out, and so yeah, that's really cool. I'm really glad with that as myself, that outro. Yeah.
And the song he worked with you previously, the Funeral Dirge of the Violinist, was a success for you. It was a song that people really liked. So it's great that you guys are working together again. I'm really glad that you do. You released 2 songs so far, Monster and Der Vampir von Nürnberg. What has the response been so far for you? Are you guys happy with the comments and the way the people have responded to these 2 songs?
Yeah, totally. I mean, Monster is a very cool song because it's so different from us. So we are a big fan of that song. We had a lot of fun. But at the same time, we knew that a lot of old school fans of us would be raising the eyebrow because it's not the typical 6-minute Carach song with 10,000 different parts. And yeah, but I knew that there would be people like a bit worried, but you could also see that fans knew like, oh, they're doing something special again, or this is the special song, and so I like to see the comments. And now with Vampire, I could almost hear the people like, oh, the relief. Yeah. We are a bit sadistic, I think, in that sense. But yeah, I mean, what is fun to me is like, especially like Dennis and me, we are so excited about this album. We are like little kids with this. I mean, you could probably see it in the listening session as well. Like, we played this for months ourselves already, for a year already, and that makes it easy. So if people like it, that's cool. But if people don't like it, I mean, it sounds bad, but we wouldn't really care because we like it so much ourselves. Like, look what we've done here. Look at this and the production. So, but I'm really glad with all the response, and that we still have a huge fan base, especially also in this time where people are more worried about their situations and the news and stuff. I mean, I was surprised with the response to Vampire over the weekend now, for example. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's great to see that you got your die-hard fans and also new fans that are following you in these hard times.
Exactly.
Yeah, we're here for you. But yeah, I mean, it's I really enjoyed this. I really enjoyed this album, and the listening session was great as well. Okay, so last question I want to ask you is, I mean, obviously it's difficult to envision what the future would be like. I mean, show-wise and music-wise, but how are you feeling about this? Do you feel optimistic, or are you, more pessimistic about the way things are going? What are your thoughts about this?
No, I'm optimistic. I mean, like I said, we are still very excited about this album, and what is happening right now is really, I mean, it's pretty bad, and but it's most important that we deal with this, and the people who are affected by this directly. But I'm confident that eventually we will pick up, and like every big event or change, there will always be new opportunities coming out of it, or like maybe a new awareness of things. So, and I think I said it before, or maybe it was in another interview, but even if I have to just wait a little bit or do something else for a year, it is what it is, and that doesn't change anything. I'm not the kind of person that goes out now panicking and or postpone the album. If we don't have to, then we carry on, and I'm confident that maybe next year we will just slowly pick things up again. It will be great.
Yeah. So we will be all the more impatient to see you guys.
Yes,
we can wait for that. Okay, Ardek, I'd like to thank you a lot for your time and this very interesting interview, all the explanation that you gave, and congrats again for this incredible album who's coming out June 26th. And I can't wait for people to listening to it and to see you guys back on stage with your new lineup. And in the meantime, I wish you all the best. I wish you well. Stay safe, and hopefully I'll see you again pretty soon.
Stay safe as well, and thanks for the interest once more. So.
You're welcome. Okay.
Whispers his name. There in the distance, like shadows casting a spell, and black oil erupting like a fountain from hell, like a